Hey guys, my name is Dr. Sharnael, Wolverton-Sehon. I am with Swiftfire, and it's Friday, you guys. Happy Friday. I am here to do a part 2 on agreements, perception, and kingdom. And I'm adding a little bit on this too. I'm going to talk about will. So if you missed the last video, please go back to yesterday or the day before, whichever one I posted part 1, or you can actually go to my YouTube channel where it was the last video that was just on there. And I do invite you to check that out because this will make a lot more sense to you as you're listening to this. So agreements, perception, kingdom or kingdome, that biofield around us. Now let's talk about will, because will is a big deal. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got to this journey that I'm at right now. And by the way, if you share and tag and do all the steps here that are below here, I'm actually doing a giveaway this time. I'm going to give away a 15 mil abundance. Who likes abundance? I kind of like abundance. I don't know about you. So yeah, definitely follow all the steps. Just go to my Instagram, follow me, share, post, do all the things, and yeah, definitely tag your 4 people or whatever it is down here. I choose to remember what I said. So let's talk about it. I'm going to share the beginning journey of all of this. For me, I've always studied quantum science, quantum physics, neuroscience, the quantum, the supernatural, the biofield. All of these things have been really intriguing to me over the years. And oh my gosh, my hair is sticking up. And so in this whole process of learning and remembering and understanding, I was introduced to a doctor who's an ND. His name is Dr. Lucky. Some of you may have known him. And in that whole season, I was dealing with several dis-eases in my body at the time. And when I went to go see him, this guy's got all kinds of machines from different places overseas, China and Russia and Germany, and like he's all about God, and he's an MD, but he's also very quantum and has all this stuff about energy and frequency and all these things on how to get your body back to balance, which would cause ease and balance in your body. So this is my very first time to go see him. I go see him, and I will put his information here, by the way, if you're interested. I went to go see him, and basically he tells and explains that 86 to 87% of all dis-ease has to do with emotional issues or traumas that have been stored in the body and not yet defragged. Defrag time is between 3 and 5 a.m., which I have tons of videos on all of that where I teach this now. But I went to him, and he found several things that were out of place or out of balance within my body. And let me back up here, because before I actually went to him, about 2 weeks before I went to go see him, I had several encounters, dreams, different like flashes of different things, and it was all with the same theme. The same thing was, it's time to meet Will. 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 So I had called some people in my office, and I was like, hey, do you guys know, can you look on my schedule? Am I about to go be teaching somewhere where there's a Pastor Will or a William or Billy or something, anything? Or is there somewhere on my schedule where I'm going to meet up with this? Do you guys know anything about who Bill could be, or who Will and Will could be, or what this thing is all about? And we were all just like, we didn't have anything. We just kind of had to shelf it. Sometimes you get things and you just pre-get them. So when I fast forward now, 2 weeks later, go see Dr. Lucky, he's talking to me and he's telling me about these things that are out of line, and he's working with me to help me to remember my balance and get back to myself. And in the process, he hooks me up to all these machines, and he's doing different things, and then he comes over and he has like a piece of paper, actually, front and back, and he hands the paper to me. And as soon as he hands this paper to me, you guys, literally the machine sounded like Pac-Man just died. It was not a good sound. It sounded like game over, this is not good. And I immediately was startled. So I look over at his face, and his face of the doctor, the MD, who is, in charge of all this, he's making a scared face and like, rubbing his temples and kind of pacing, and you could see that he's super uncomfortable with what the machine just did. And I'm like, awesome, that's really refreshing and comforting, and what does this mean? Tell me what's going on. So I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? He goes, well, I've never seen that before. That is intriguing to me. Normally people will read the paper and then there's some sort of response on the machine. I've never seen anybody like just touch the paper and they're, completely causing that to happen. So I was like, okay, what's on the paper? So I like grab it, I start looking at it, I start reading it, and it's just a list of things. It says like, I am beautiful, I have a call, I have a purpose, I have destiny, I am love, like a whole list of these things. And I'm like, okay, what about it? And he goes, well, basically, this is saying that you don't agree with any of those things on the paper. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Kind of like missed that, and he was like, no, really, this is what it means. It means that you're not in agreement, mind, body, spirit, whatever, with what's on this paper. And I was just like, oh. And I was kind of had to take a breath and just go like, oh my gosh, really? Because I'm thinking, and then he says something like, now what do you do for a living? Just out of curiosity. And oh my gosh, I wanted to say like, I'm a pro bowler, or like I teach Girl Scouts or something. Because I was just like, what? Like, who wants to say I'm in full-time ministry and I teach this every weekend? I teach people to remember that they're beautiful, they're loved, they have a call, they have a destiny, that they have a purpose, that they're awesome. And here I'm like not believing it myself. Like, what kind of representative am I being for Christ if I don't even believe this about me, let alone teach it to anyone else and be able to duplicate that? Woohoo! So I'm a little bit whatever, and I'm like, what do we do? How do we get this back? Because I know that this is key in helping me get back to balance. And he says, you know what, hold up 1 second. He takes the paper from me, he walks out of the room. Please be tagging and sharing because this is really important. He comes back to the room, he hands me the paper, and as soon as I take the paper, I hold on to it. Guess what? No crazy sounds come out of the machines, no game over. I'm like, whew, cool, like, whew, I'm like, okay, what did you do? Like, what's the difference? And I look at the paper, I'm holding the paper, everything looks the same to me. I'm just like, what? What did you do? And then I realized at the top, all it said was, I will. He had written with a pencil at the top, I will. And I was like, okay. And he said, I want you to read the paper, and I want you to say, I will that I am beautiful. I will that I am love. I will that I am purpose. I will that I am called. I will that I am chosen. And he said for me to practice this in the mirror daily until I believed it. My words now, be alive in it. And I will, okay? And so I'm sitting here going, well, why will? Why that? And he says, well, your will is 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. On a science level, will always override anything. You have a very strong willpower. I have a very strong willpower. We all get choice. Now think about it. We are not made, yes, we're made in God's image, but we're not made to just be robots and do whatever he says, she says, God says to do. We just do what Spirit says if we choose. And when we say, I will, blah, 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 I will that I am this, I will that I that, it's the same as saying, I am love, I am peace, I am. Same thing, using your will to actually remember, meaning to remember and to remind that you are in union, that God actually does reside within, that the kingdom of God is in here and not out there. When we are outside of that, that is when we are in the illusion of separation, and that is what can cause dis-ease. Now, I was working with someone, I won't say who, I was working in this mentoring group this last week, and we were doing a personal consultation. I do lots of consultations to help people get back into their health, their business, their family, their life, their kids, whatever, their union and their marriages, or find a partner. And in the process of doing this, I had her, based on some things that she was saying, I had her recommit and to say out loud some things that actually would help her to remember to be in that space. And now remember, think about it, will, 400,000 times stronger. When I was sitting right there with Dr. Lucky, all of a sudden, I got it. It's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. And for some of you, same. And this lady that I was working with, she was like uncomfortable repeating these things, probably just like I was that day, going, I will that I am love, and I will that I am purpose, you know, probably shaking my head because my body wasn't in agreement yet. So I will that I am love, I am purpose. Same thing, 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. Now, when I was talking to her about this, I asked her, what is it do you think that is causing you to not be able to actually say these decrees with everything you got, with all of you? And she was like, gosh, you know, to be honest, what keeps coming to me and what I keep hearing is pride comes before the fall. I feel like I'm walking in pride or being like elitist or something, or, you know, being overconfident or whatever by saying, you know, that I am these things. You know, it felt weird to her to say. Well, I asked her, I said, I choose and invite you to look up what that statement means in the scriptures. Look up what pride comes before the fall actually means. Look up the word pride and see what does pride mean. Look up these things. It's very, very important that you actually understand the Greek and the Hebrew of the words that are written, and you understand what pride before the fall means. So when I looked it up, because I hadn't looked it up myself, but I knew that there was something to this. When I looked it up, of course, pride actually isn't the word that was used in that in any translation. The original translation is actually not pride. The word is to exalt yourself above God, to see yourself as separate, to see yourself above God or separate from God. So when we exalt ourselves above God and make choices outside of Him, separate from Him, guess what? That's right before the fall. And if you think about it, think about the garden, okay? Adam and Eve, whoever started it, whatever. It's our people, right? We made choices to do some things outside of what God had asked us to do or what God's will was. And with that came the illusion of separation and a lot of other consequences, because we were now outside, we were separate, or at least we saw ourselves separate. Remember, we were scared, we hid, we put on clothes, on fig leaves. We were embarrassed, as Robert Tennyson would say. So when we're thinking about anything separate, when we're acting upon anything separate, when we are seeing ourselves separate, that's what pride is, truly. It's not about saying the decrees, I am love, I am this, I am peace, I am shalom, I am might, you know, whatever. And I'm not saying that I am God, and I'm not saying that you're God either. I'm saying that God is in me, and I'm saying that I am love because He resides in here. The God, the Creator, whatever you call God, because there's no gender specific unless you're talking about Jesus, that is in us. The kingdom of God is within. Christ in us, hope of glory. So when we do anything separate, think about it too, the word sin, that word sin only means to miss the mark, which is also being separate, which is also doing things outside of the will of God and also choosing for ourselves things that we would do instead of what God in us would do. And so going back to agreements, which are really transactions, as we make our choices, it's very important that we stay within the will of God and know what the will of God is, to know what we're supposed to be doing. Usually I can tell if something is really important for God to do through me, and to choose that is, you know, by testing to see what's important in my heart. And a lot of times I'll get outside help, or, you know, look to really good friends or whatever. You can muscle test. There's lots of different ways where you can actually find out for sure, like, what is the choice that is your highest choice? What is your highest choice within you? So my main things that I choose or invite you to remember and remind here within this video today is, number one, do not be afraid. A matter of fact, take confidence and security in being able to decree, to call those things that are not, to come back into remembering that God is in us by saying, I am love. God is love. I am love. Love's in here. Love resides in me. Peace resides in me. Now think about all the things that God is. Peace, power, presence, nurturing, might, all of those things. Provision, abundance, abundance. All of those things are in us, which cause frequency hopping. And then I have a great video on that too, so I hope you watch it. So number one is to be alive, be aware, believe in the fact that you do have the choice and the willpower to be as one with God and you fully. And be proud and do your declarations and your decrees with ease and with love and with delight, because that is what we're allowed to do. Scriptures even tell us to do it, decree a thing, right? So number two, I would just really be super aware and careful about what your commitments are. What are you committing to? What are the choices that you're making? Are those the things that you're really supposed to be doing? And who are you doing them with? And, so one, being okay, decreeing. Number two, making really wise choices, because again, those choices are transactions. Those are electric transactions. Those transactions come from the electric current of your DNA. You have your own electric signature that's different from everybody else, and it's like signing a contract when you make an agreement. Just like God is the seven spirits, and He has the rainbow or the double rainbow. Whenever you're doing a contract, you need witnesses. And the electric code of who you are is a big transaction. And number three, what's the other one? Keep your agreements. That's the third one. Keep those agreements, because it's really, really important. Once you've made that choice, once you've made an agreement or a commitment to someone, once that electric signature has gone out, the choice is made, it goes out into the biofield, and then you get a match. And so if you are in agreement to the things and you keep the things, then it shows up as truth, and you collect and magnetize truth and love and all the things that are God. And you also get commitment back, because you are committed, you get commitment back. But you can actually let go of your commitment, not keep your commitment, and then your electric code that's now going out shows up as you're a liar, you lied. And the chemistry in your brain also releases tons of chemicals that register that you just lied. If you're supposed to be there at 7 and it's 7:05 and you're sitting on your couch and you haven't even left yet, and you really had no at all idea that you were even going to go, you just said that, that is not a good thing. I get if things happen, or if you were late because of traffic or whatever, then you go back to the person you made the agreement to and you go, hey, I know I said 7, it's going to be like 7:05, or it's going to be 7:07. Forgive me, there was traffic, or forgive me, the baby lost her shoe, or forgive me, the dog just threw up or ran away, or whatever. Like, whatever the thing is, go back to the person or the people that you made the commitment to and make it right, so your electric currency is keeping good for you, and that you can collect good things back. Because this biofield not only radiates and sends out messages and code, but it also magnetizes. And so when you magnetize, you're retrieving and collecting things back to you that you can only get a match. So it's really important to be true. Remember, some of you know I had a really amazing encounter years ago, and there were two messengers or beings that showed up in my living room, and one of them said, tell them they're not truly living unless they're living true. God made the universe the way He made it. He knows that it's important for us to keep our agreements, because if we keep our agreements, then we get an electric currency back. What we sow, we reap. It's really true. So choose wisely. Choose wisely what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, what you're feeling, what you're making agreements to, and that will definitely affect your kingdom, your kingdom biofield that's all around you. So I do hope this helps you guys. I know it's really helping me. Keep your agreements. Know what your agreements are. Do not be afraid. Go forward with your decrees and just do it with love. And I hope you guys have a great Friday. Do all the things, and one of you is going to get an awesome abundance oil, if this even shows up. So take care. And and if you would like more information on any of this stuff, please go to my YouTube and subscribe, because I'm doing videos all the time, and you guys would really benefit from putting some of these pieces together. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.